welcome to Diamond Niners Weekly for week 11 of the 2023 season. This is Nick, joined by producer Brad, making it all go.
Hey.
There he is. And with returning guest host, former 49er hurler, Will Lancaster. What's up, Will?
What's up, guys? How's everybody?
Man, we're great. We are going to be joined by Coach Woody here, likely near the top of the hour. You're going to notice Kevin's missing. Kevin's out doing the dad thing tonight, makeup ball game. So he's at a ball field watching some ball and has the privilege of watching his kids play baseball. So we're happy that he gets to do that tonight. We're also happy that Will is able to hang out with us in his place. How cool is that, Will?
This is awesome. I didn't expect it. I know you said, that I hope I'd be back, but I didn't expect it to be this close. But I guess it's because of the ratings. I'm sure they went up after the last show. So
yes,
I don't blame you.
Absolutely.
Huge ratings.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. So, this is a good arrangement. I will share out there something, and you can talk to him about it next time you see him. Maybe we'll ask him about it when he gets back. But Kevin's son, Dylan, playing 11U travel ball this weekend, hit his first walk-off this weekend, and it was a triple.
Oh, wow.
He hit a walk-off triple, which apparently, I guess a walk-off triple is a little odd. He really only needed to get to first, but that's not.
He just kept going.
He only needed to get to first, but
that's a good official scorer.
Yeah, he got all the way to third on a triple and walked off. And not only that, this was a team that they had played last year, and that team had beaten them pretty soundly, and they got matched up against them this year, and Dylan walked them off.
So he was trying to rub it in a little bit, it sounds like.
Well, it's actually interesting because Kevin Kevin sent me this little. He would tell you the name of the software if he was here, but they when they score the game, it'll I guess it's using AI or something to produce like a little write up.
Game Changer.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what we used. Yeah.
He sent me the little. I guess it's AI generated.
Yeah.
And then Kevin told me, he's like, yeah, it was the first pitch he saw, and I was like, man, so you telling me first pitch he walked it off with a triple? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, how come he didn't see any more pitches than that? You got to be more patient at the plate with that. You need to see some more, right? I mean, but I guess
I was big on taking first pitch, but it looks like it worked out for him. So
well, Dylan Harwood is not.
That sounds like my brother. He's never taken a pitch.
Dylan Harwood is big on triples on first pitch with the game on the line. Oh. Maybe he's got his old man's clutch gene. Is probably what Kevin.
Hey, you either got it or you don't.
And I guess
he's got it,
and they got it. So it all worked out. Man, look at this. Looking at the chat here, Will. The love's already coming in for you. You being.
How do I look at this? Am I allowed to look at this?
Doing it on your phone, I'm not sure. I can tell you how to see that on your computer. I'm not sure about.
No, phone. I'm on a computer.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Look over on the right-hand side.
Oh.
You should be able to see comments. Check that out. And you can watch people talk about how great you are. Oh, and then here's some criticism for Kevin coming from Arden. Someone needs to talk to Kevin about priorities. I agree. What's more important, your kids or Niner baseball?
That's a good point. I mean, it's the middle of the season.
Come on. There'll be more games later. Come on. Anyway. All right, man, I don't know if you know this or not, Will, but our show is huge in Arden.
Oh, yeah, Will Butcher tells me, yeah.
Yeah, this show is big in Arden. So number one demographic, actually. So it's pretty cool. So, all right, we got Woody's going to jump in here later, but we got some baseball to talk about. The guys only played 5 games this week.
Yeah. Happen to be 2 of the hardest 2 midweeks of the season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we've talked to Woody about, and Woody's scheduling philosophy is, anytime, anywhere. We don't care. We'll
Yeah, as
play.
it has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on board with that. I will tell you, when I saw the schedule back in whatever month it was, probably January when the schedule first came out, this last week I went straight to that week and said, "Oh my gosh, really?"
Yeah.
I mean, and Woody's like, "Yep." Yeah, you know how he is. He's just like,
Yeah. Yeah. And then
As
especially after last year when we felt like, we could have used, I guess, some higher RPI games to boost the RPI. It's like, why not throw in the back end of the schedule? And, in this case, I mean, you lose both of them, and we didn't drop a significant amount in RPI wise. And more than anything, I mean, it tests you to, as much as you could possibly be tested.
Now, from a pitcher standpoint, when you're looking at that, I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe when you see 5 games in a week, as a pitcher, you're thinking, well, man, there's going to be lots of opportunities for me to get in a game here, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I was really every year before Charlotte, when I wasn't starting, on the weekends, I love those weeks. I'm like, okay, well, I have to throw.
Yeah.
And then as a weekend, as a starter, like for me last year, it was, I love those weeks because I was like, this means there's not going to be as many relievers available for my game. So that means I'm going to go farther, or that means I have to go farther. And I always enjoyed that, I guess, pressure. And I think obviously the guys did. I mean, Wyatt and Cam, I think both went 8+.
Yeah.
And we had some good relief appearances on the weekend. So I think pitching wise, it ended up, even though we went through a ton of people on Tuesday at UNC, I think it ended up, lighting a fire up under the weekend, guys.
Yeah. So that game in Chapel Hill went up there, and man, I got to tell you, Dollar Hot Dog Night is really big in Chapel Hill. Oh yeah. the line like went the length of the concourse.
Actually, it's sorry to cut you off. I just thought about something. One of my friends who goes to Carolina, I looked at their Snapchat story during the game because I didn't make it to the game, and they were disappointed. I mean, it was literally the third or fourth inning, and they were like, "This concession stand just ran out of hot dogs."
Yeah,
and I just thought about it once you said that. That's funny.
Yeah, no, I mean the line was the length of the concourse, and they were limiting people to 3.
To 3.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like it would normally be a problem, but I guess so.
Dollar hot dogs are for real. And it makes sense because I mean, I could have got in line first, bought every hot dog they had, then started selling them for $2 to people in the back of the line.
There's nothing wrong with business.
No, it's capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Dollar Hot Dog Night is big in Chapel Hill. Because the concession lines were legit, and what you're saying, they started running out of hot dogs. So
yeah, that's what I heard. I also saw, this is kind of changing, Penn State, they have a dollar hot dog thing, and they apparently on their Sunday game sold like 5,000 hot dogs, which just seems. I mean, I don't know what Carolina sold on Tuesday, but 5,000 hot dogs in a day seems excessive. I also don't know where they keep those in the concession stand before they make them. Like you got to have some space.
You're right. But what I'm hearing, what I feel like we're talking about here is we need more dollar hot dog nights at the Hayes.
We need to start with one. Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing is dollar hot dog night at the Hayes.
I'll get behind it.
It's apparently a big deal. Now, if Kevin was here, he'd be making fun of me right now because I'm really not a hot dog fan. But
I promise I'm less of a hot dog fan. I don't eat hot dogs at all, but I know that they're popular, especially when they're $1. So it's all about making money.
Dollar hot dogs go well with wine and cheese. Now, see there, I was going to try to avoid that, but we have the best fans, and they're
they're taking care of the dirty stuff.
Yeah, well, it's like when you're listening to the Jim Rome show over the years, and he would say, now clones, don't email me talking about whatever, and then of course they do, and then he reads them on the air. So
he didn't say it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe you just emailed me about that. Here, let me read another one. So yeah, the Chapel Hill had a big success with Dollar Hot Dog Night. I witnessed that with my own eyes. So maybe we need to look into that at the Hayes. Did use 7 pitchers on Tuesday night. Ended up dropping the game 5-3. Competitive game. It's not like we didn't have our say. Butch drove in a pair. Eli Wiesner got in. Weezy got a pinch hit home run. Absolutely. As best I recall, Eli saw one pitch, and they talk about Dylan hitting the first pitch. Eli saw one pitch on Tuesday night, and he parked it somewhere out there in left field. Cam had a double, so it's not like the Niners didn't have their chances. I'll say this, Will, and I know for a fact you were at the game early in the season when the Tar Heels came to the Hayes. Coming off that matchup to go up there to their place and give them a game like that. I mean, we don't talk about moral victories on this show, but you have to like the fight that the guys came out with. Yeah,
I mean, in the first game especially, you sit down and I think Spoiler strikes out 2 in the first. We hit 2 solos in the first, and it's like, this feels different. I mean, we had a ton of students there. It felt like a different game, and then you end up getting blown out, and it's, so you get them again. And then you go up there again. I think it was the first. I hadn't even turned on the game when Butch hit the 2-run double. So you punch him in the mouth again, and then we struggled on the mound, obviously, kind of throughout the whole day. But again, there's no moral victories, especially at this point in the season. But it's like you lose that game 5-3. If they didn't have a scoreboard, it would seem like it's a lot worse. Like it seemed like I don't know how we were in the game the whole game. And 5-3, you're in the game till the very end, and then it's cool to see Eli Wiesner, like you said. A guy that had such a great summer for the High Toms. I'm obviously a huge High Tom fan because I played there for 15 years.
Right.
So he's a really good ball player, and for him to come in that kind of environment and do that, and then I think next pitch or 2 pitches later, Austin almost hits one out, and it would have got real really quick. So to be in that game when it feels like we could have been so far out of it was good to see.
Oh yeah, and I think the key stat, the sneaky stat on that whole game is our pitching staff stranded 19 runners. In fact, I think if, as I recall, things get a little fuzzy in my old age, but I think the Heels had the bases loaded in the first and the second, and it might have been 2 on in the third.
I'm pretty sure it was the first. Don't quote me on this. I think it was at least the first 3, and it might have been the first 4 innings that they were bases loaded because they kept talking about it, and we kept bringing in guys out of the pen and got out of those situations. And it was like we kept getting in those situations, but guys kept getting out of it too.
Yeah, some folks came up in some big spots there. AJ got out of a jam. I think Danye got out of a jam. Yeah. Kramer went the farthest in that with 3.1 innings, but we kept having guys getting out of jams. So pretty cool to see. And we got some guys worked in that haven't gotten as much work lately because Conti, Cosentino, and Yarborough all got in that game. So it is what it is. Like you said, no moral victories, but it could have easily gone a number of different ways. And our pitching staff kept it close. And you get a hit here or there. And like you said, if Austin's been hitting the ball really hard lately. It showed up this weekend, which we'll talk about that, but he's been hitting the ball really hard for a while now. And if that gets out, as you said, things get real fast. Yeah. And
I think the moral victory thing, it's not a moral victory. I know Coach Woodard hit both of us for saying that, but what it does get you that's not moral is it gets you meaningful at bats and meaningful innings in the last 3 innings of that game. I mean, like you said, Conti, Constantino, Brevin, those guys get to pitch when those are really good arms, and they get to come in a big time game when it really matters. And again, Eli gets to have a pinch hit when it really matters, and those at bats are valuable. Maybe you don't see it as being valuable during the game, but in a month, or whenever the conference tournament is and regionals, those are going to, be really valuable.
Right. So we move on 24 hours later back in Charlotte, going uptown to play East Carolina at Truist Field, home of the Charlotte Knights. And I'm on record, Will. I've talked about these games a number of times. I know why we play those games and in Uptown, and the recruiting angle and the high profile nature of it, the whole thing, and it's great for the guys. It's great for everybody. Okay, but I am on record over time as saying I don't like going up there. I am. I had a great time playing. We beat South Carolina up there earlier this year, and that was fun, obviously. But I like being at the Hayes. It's just me. It's great park. I know it's not the same. I get it, but it's sort of my old man yells at cloud moment. Is I like being at the Hayes.
Well, there's something to being at home. And home, not just being your city, but being, where your locker room is and all that. But it's definitely a cool experience. And then the pitch in front of all those, that was a large crowd. Obviously ECU travels well. They have great baseball fans. But overall, that was a huge crowd, and it was cool to see.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and we get to talk about this more because Woody hadn't called in yet. He's texted me like, "Hey, I'm still doing that, right?" Yep. Something you said there is something I heard a lot this week. That East Carolina travels. No, they don't.
They just live there.
They live here.
Yeah,
they live here. They don't travel.
You're right.
Those people didn't come from Greenville. That many people don't work at Sup Dogs. Come on.
That's true. There's not really many places to work, I guess.
No, so they live here, and I know some of them. I know a lot of them. I'm telling you, these, and it's not just baseball. I respect that. I respect their baseball culture so much, Will. You saw, you've seen what they can do, and being down there, in Greenville, and with what they're capable of and their environment. It's off the charts, and we need to figure out how to clone it, here in Charlotte. But this is going to be something with us joining the American next season. Those folks are going to be coming back for baseball. They're going to be coming for football. I think they're going to show up for basketball too. Heck, to be honest with you, Will, I think there'll be good crowds at softball.
I think it seems like every softball game I've been to it's been hard to find a seat. So, when you throw the ECU fans in there, I would agree.
Yeah. And that's going to be great.
Yeah.
That's going to be great for us across the board, having them us being in the same league with them. I see nothing but good things about that. But all I'll say about it is, and I'm preaching to the choir on this show, our people have got to get their minds right. Everybody, they kind of talking about priorities. They made that game last Wednesday night a priority, and it's not going to be the last time they do that. So our folks have got to decide what they want to do about that, right? That's just.
This is what third or fourth year Woodard's been at Charlotte, and it's time to start kind of expecting. I saw a tweet earlier. I don't even remember who it was. We're getting to the point where we expect to win every game. Getting to the point, we are at the point. And then and as a fan base, I think it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, like we're playing ECU, top 10 in the country, like we could win this game. And then, and it's not like we don't have a lot of people. We have 20-something thousand kids go to the school. It's Charlotte. So I think it's just the whole belief, and turning it into a party as ECU always does. Maybe we need to start a $1 beer night before the $1 hot dog. But I think seriously, it's just about having the pride, the extreme pride about your school and about your sports. So it's coming. It's definitely better. It's better than it was when I was in high school.
Sure.
When I used to see games. So it's a process, and I think we're well on the right track.
I would say it's equal parts. It's school spirit, like you say, but their games are events.
Yeah.
And that's something that we need to be capitalizing on, is making those things events. Because Wednesday, I mean, they turned out.
Yeah, they did.
And I mean, to their credit, I mean, I can't knock them for showing up. But our Feet believes, and I believe in you, Feet. You're my boy. I watched the game in Chapel Hill with Feet, and he's a good dude. It's we're getting there. I believe what you're saying, Will. The product on the field has certainly closed the gap, and we're gonna get there. It's just a matter of time, and the more support.
Yeah, I mean, and then the
Go ahead, Will.
the facilities that are coming, and is another thing. It's what that's going to create environment wise at the Hayes. I don't know, that's obviously a process to get that here. But it's everything. It's football getting a new coach, the excitement that's around that. It's the whole school. It's hard to just be like, okay, we have a good baseball team, we should have a packed crowd. And I know that there is that around the country, but as a school, I think the direction that we were moving in is gonna make baseball games and all athletic events more fun.
Yeah. So, and we're getting a comment from Arden here that in Greenville, that the game is an event because there's less competition, I think is the main point of what Arden's saying here. And that is true. Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
That's true. But on the other hand, the argument I would counter with is that the university has something like, I don't know, 130,000 alumni at this point. And I think the overwhelming majority, we probably have that's something I've said a lot this week. People that weren't at the game on Wednesday night have said, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I had this or I had that. I'm like, we have 100,000 alumni in the Charlotte metro area.
Right.
That didn't happen because your kid had soccer practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one person.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely get the Greenville thing. It's very true. And there's a ton to do in Charlotte, but it's like you're saying, we have a ton of people that go to the school and went to the school. So, I think the school spirit and the pride but I think it's going to be cool. I'm not even really thinking to say, now that we're going to the American, to have an in-state rival. I don't think we had that before, unless I'm just completely blanking.
No.
So I think that's going to be a big deal. Obviously that's one series. But I think it's going to be awesome in the next few years.
Yeah. So the Niners do drop the game 6-2. Langhorne got the start, went 3 innings, struck out 5, 1 earned run. So it was a good start for the young man to get him in. Jake had an RBI double. Blake had a solo shot to account for the Niner runs, which we're kind of starting to see Blake emerge. And so that's that means nothing but good things. But, Will, it was a competitive game, but kind of like we just talked about with Tuesday night, in the end, what do you got? You got 2 losses.
Right.
And that's when you're trying to spread the baseball gospel, I guess, like we do here. That's all we're trying to do is it's kind of difficult because the casual fan, it's hard to tell the casual fan about UAB and how important those games are because of the league standings.
Right.
We still talk to people that say, well, why didn't Wyatt start Tuesday or Wednesday? Really, seriously, that's the kind of things that get said. Well, why didn't we go Wyatt on Tuesday and Cam on Wednesday? That's what was important. And then, it's like, guys, it just doesn't work that way. That's not reality. The modern arm care program, for one thing, just doesn't work.
That's also a recipe for a grand slam or a season-ending strikeout. Because because if you do that, first looking past the arm, arm health, if you do that and you win both games, it's like this is huge. But if you lose both games, then you're like, oh my gosh, now we have 3 conference games and we don't have 2 of our weekend guys. So that's why that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So let's put this on record once and for all. You were last season. You were pretty consistently the Saturday guy.
Right.
This would have never happened. But what would have been your thought process if you started on Saturday, and then Coach Woodard came to you and said, "Hey, we got a big midweek matchup against whoever, ECU, whatever. Let's just do away with your normal rotation. I want you to start again. I need 5 innings from you on Wednesday."
Well, I personally, and Woodard knows this, I would have loved it. Just because I love and I talked to my parents and all my friends about it. That's what I love about college baseball is how competitive and how much every game means. It wouldn't have been smart, obviously. And I also am not like holding out to sign a $2 million signing bonus, later in that year. So I would have been more okay with it. But the competitor inside of me absolutely would have loved it. But I definitely would have been hurting on Wednesday and Thursday. So it would have been hard to get back and pitch on the weekend. That would have been the hardest thing for me was pitching that next weekend.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. Fans, the casual fan wants a win over a name program. And I get that. I totally get that. And I think we can get there. I know we're going to get there, but you can't risk a conference race, which we're very much a part of. We're getting ready to talk about, but you can't risk a conference race over a midweek game. It just doesn't work that way. And I'll point out, East Carolina went to Wichita, Kansas this weekend and got swept by former coach Lauren Hibbs and the Wichita State Shockers. I think they would trade that Wednesday night game for some conference wins. Is what I'll say.
Absolutely.
So, it is what it is. Producer Brad, I saw Woody pop up there. Did we lose him?
He disconnected there for a second, so I don't.
Okay.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait for him to.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that.
Back on.
Yeah, Woody's trying to dial in right now. Looks like he might be coming back.
Let's see if he's ready.
Woody,
there he is.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Man, you're jumping in at a great time. We just got through discussing why it would have been a good idea to throw Wyatt and Cam on Tuesday and Wednesday instead of saving the weekend. We're wondering. I mean, you're on board with that, right?
Hold on a second. The audios. I'm having a tough time with audios. I'm on board with any time those guys throw. They're throwing awesome right now.
We were just having a conversation, Coach, about weekday baseball and how it works and what it is, and why you don't jeopardize weekend starters for weekday games. So we haven't completely lost our minds here. Will was delivering a very rational, very reasoned defense of why you just don't do that. So, we didn't completely lose our minds in your absence here.
I got you. Well, if you got, Will knows the stuff. So, I'm sure you guys covered it all. And, no, like I said, those guys are throwing awesome and, really everybody is right now. So it's just coming off a good weekend. It was great to see.
So, appreciate you jumping in here. How's it going, man? Just in general, how's life? How's life these days?
Life's great. Yeah, just we're getting going here. Typical Monday routine as far as the guys coming in and getting back in the classroom and getting off the good start to the academic week, and then they come in and kind of go about their business around their schedules and get a good kind of optional training session with Coach McKibben and our coaching staff. Kind of game plans the week as far as just kind of logistics and rotation stuff and just kind of set the table for the week. So had a good day today and life's good. here comes the next game. Here comes the next game.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that. We're just getting ready to talk about the weekend. We've kind of been kicking the can around here a little bit. We talked about Tuesday and Wednesday, but what I would like to do right now is talk a little bit about the pregame on Friday. We had kind of a special little deal here that I think it would be appropriate to get your comment on, Coach. The Mims family, Jackson Mims, played third base for the Niners in 2017, 2018. Jackson and his family were on hand. Jackson threw out the first pitch because they dedicated the Mims Family Player Development Center out there in right field. There we go. Got a photo. So there's the Mims crew with athletic director Mike Hill. Jackson's wife Meredith, also a Niner. So they got the chance to come out and dedicate the stadium. Or the great photo there. This is a legacy, Coach. It's so awesome to see a former player like that and their family making an investment in the program that they were a part of. Just get your thoughts on that, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, Will can attest to it just as far as the daily usage of that facility. It's a game changer, just, with weather, rain or shine, certainly during, team training hours, but then, guys can get in early and get going, on their own, and guys can stay late and do extra. So it's a huge space. It's utilized by every member of our program. It's not just a hitting facility. It's a total player development center as far as, our hitters being able to hit, and then, all the, the arm training with the plyo walls and the weights with the weight room, and, the turf and the nets can go back, to do some defensive work if we need to. And we've got, 40 desks stored in there as well that can come out, and we can kind of have a classroom session to teach various aspects, or, video breakdown after a game or after a series, or we can do, opponent scouting meetings in there as well. So it's just a very versatile facility. I'm just very thankful that was put in motion and put in place, by Coach Hibbs and the Mims family. And it was a bit of a clean slate. It was a brand new building that didn't have, it was pretty much three cages and 3 L screens and three T's with nothing really on the walls. And we've had a lot of fun as a coaching staff. Thanks to the Grand Slam Club members and other donors, just really been able to kind of outfit that stuff. But it's a game changer, and it leads to victories, because it improves our guys' performance, and it helps our guys that aspire to play professional baseball, which is all of them, either accomplish that dream or get as close as possibly can.
Yeah, so Will, I know in your time here, you spent a bunch of time in that facility, and that's I'm going to go out on a limb here and say having access to a facility like that's one of the kind of things why you come to Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to guys that play at Power Fives, and it's, that have seen Charlotte's facility, and they talk about how amazing it is and how they wish they had something like that. And like Coach Woodard said, it's more than a hitting facility. We literally did everything. We had some cool times doing like the mocap velo day. That's like a complete environment that's in there. I can't tell you the amount of times me and Michael O had to leave practice early and go to class, and we were able to lift really quick before we went to class. So to kind of have that, where obviously rain or shine, but also, when it's really cold and it is maybe too early in the year to be throwing, when it's super cold for pitchers, to be able to kind of do stuff indoors, where you can control the weather was super cool, to see. And then throughout the winter, fall, winter, and even in spring. So having it was huge. I mean, I can tell you what it's like to not have it. And I think that made me really enjoy it even more, from previous years throughout my college career.
And the sort of the backstory behind that, and they talked a little bit about it, and they showed a really cool video of Jackson's dad celebrating a walk-off win at Rice on the video board. But Jackson's dad had actually arranged to name that and to make a gift in honor of Jackson once his playing career was over. But tragically, we lost Mr. Mims. And he passed away before he was able to see that to fruition. So Friday night was sort of closing the circle on something. In some ways, I think Jackson's dad honored his son, but Friday night his son honored the dad. So that was pretty cool to see. Tugged at my heartstrings anyway. So really, really cool to see that family come together and play that out. And man, all I can really say to conclude that is just thank you guys. It's awesome. Appreciate that kind of faith in the program going forward. So really, really cool night. Now, moving on to the game. Friday night was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Wyatt Hoodlepona went 8.2 innings, gave up 1 earned run, and struck out 12, picked up the W. And Will, at the time Wyatt did that, I was virtually certain that he was going to be Conference USA Pitcher of the Week.
Yeah, you tweeted it.
Yes, I tweeted it. I referred to Wyatt as soon to be Conference USA Pitcher of the Week. And why wouldn't I?
You would think so.
8.2 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 12 Ks in a winning effort. But that didn't work out. But oh my goodness, we'll talk about and Evan Michelson picked up the save with the third of an inning, no runs. We'll talk about the offense here in a second, but my goodness, as a pitcher, talk about what you saw Wyatt Hoodlepole doing on Friday night.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the same thing that we've been watching him do for like the whole season, except maybe that 1 week at Virginia Tech, I think.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable what he's done so consistently, and it seems like it's routine almost. And I know if you look at the whole season, and this is without having any stats in front of me, I think we've struggled to score runs on Fridays, which a lot of teams do. To have a guy that is like the other team's not really going to score, and on top of that, like we really aren't going to use many relievers. So to see kind of the rhythm he's been in, especially the last, it seems like month and a half, 2 months, it's been cool. It's been, and I think it's underappreciated, like I said earlier, just because it's so good, and it's so routine, and to have that horse to ride every single Friday night, and then, you don't get the last out, and you bring in a guy throwing 96. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and we talked about managing the arms with playing 5 games this week, and to have one guy step up and say basically I'll take a whole game,
right?
It's just unbelievable. And you're right, you're absolutely right, Will. He was doing Friday night what he's been doing all season long, and really going back to we saw this ability, we saw this potential in him back in the fall and even in the preseason. Just amazing.
I'll tell you, Mike, talking to Michael O, the pitching coordinator, in the later in the fall and into the winter, before Wyatt had really risen, from what I obviously don't know, but from what I had been told, kind of in the preseason, he really I guess ticked up velo wise, which made everything a lot better, clearly. But just talking to Mike, he kind of saw it in him early, and he was like, this dude's going to be really good. Like he might not be like the Friday guy right now, but like he's gonna be really freaking good. And to see how good he's been has been cool.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I was going to pull, let me grab these stats here. If we look at him in conference, just as conference starts, he's got a 2.03 ERA.
And that takes out the 17 strikeouts against Old Dominion.
Yeah, and that takes out his performance against Old Dominion. So that's a 203. I mean, we've got a lot of guys. Producer Brad, I can. Woody's screen's still black. Did we lose him?
I think he's still with us. But
I'm on.
We just can't see him.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he went black. There you go. But you can hear us, Coach.
Yeah, is my screen on? Is it black on y'all side?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
All right, well, y'all keep rolling. Let me call you. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, see you.
Well, I was just gonna let him. I mean,
I just thought we lost him. I'm glad I didn't say anything too crazy.
I did too. I mean, I'd rather. I was gonna say, I don't want to sound wrong. I'd rather hear him than see him, but well, I mean, right? This is a podcast.
With all due respect.
With all due respect, I mean, what he has to say is a lot more important than being able to see him.
There we go.
There we go. Can you hear us, Coach?
I can hear you guys. Yeah.
Okay. We just agreed.
I'm new to
hear
this
you than see you.
That's fair. You guys aren't the only ones. I'm new to this whole video conference thing, I guess.
The pandemic wasn't enough practice.
Yeah. This is brand new, apparently. But yeah, no, I mean, you guys talking about Wyatt and what he's done on Fridays. I mean, it's it's one of those things as a coach, you just you just kind of sit, you try your best just to kind of sit. There's little moments throughout his outings where you kind of just sit back and appreciate it. And, because like Will said, like sometimes guys can get rolling and not really necessarily take it for granted, but you appreciate it for what it is and how hard it is to do what he's doing. And you see, and everybody sees how hard he and all the pitchers work each and every day. And so it's, as a coach, like it's such a good feeling seeing guys' hard work pay off.
Yeah, and on the offensive side, we didn't win 4-1 over UAB. The resurgent Blake Jackson, we'll call him, 2 for 4 with a double and a homer, a pair of ribbies. Jack Dragham's been swinging a hot bat as of late as well, 2 for 5 with a ribby. And Spencer Nolan, the freshman, starting to put it together a little bit at the plate. I feel like 2 for 4 with an RBI. Hit his first career home run last weekend, and starting to. He's kind of Spencer's been an OBP guy, drawing some walks. Unfortunately, for some reason, and I asked his mom and dad this, and they didn't know why. But I asked them why Spencer's become such a ball magnet. He's been hit, seems like quite a few times recently, including in the head. But he takes it all in stride. So big night on Friday. And UAB. Let's be honest. I mean, we're playing six. We have played 6 games against UAB. Their program, they're in a bit of a rebuild right now. But that's going to be a program. They're going to the American with us. And honestly, tell both of you this, institutionally, I feel like we just have a lot in common with UAB. We have similar makeups. Heck, we even shared we've even shared a chancellor. Jim Woodward came from UAB to be chancellor at UNC Charlotte. So we've only been playing Birmingham in all sports since I think like 1976 or something. South Florida is actually our oldest opponent, but across the board in athletics. But UAB is not far behind that. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of UAB over the coming years, and getting Friday night off to the start that we did and getting the W, man, that always makes you feel better about the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Coach Dunn, he was at Sanford for a long time and, won conference titles there and won, he's multi-time, league coach of the year and his assistants are really great guys, and they work extremely hard on the recruiting trail, just, paying attention to the recruiting landscape. And so, I mean, like you said, this is year 2 for that staff, and they have some really good players. I mean, you win 1 and 2 and 3 run games, and you're a hot team. You lose 1 run games and you lose 2 run games, you're a cold team. It's I mean, honestly, that's the margins. The margins really were close all weekend. We just were fortunate to come out on the good side.
Yeah, and rolling into Saturday, and man, Saturday as a whole, as a day, Saturday was a big day on campus. I got to campus about noon, and the weather was rolling through. Baseball was going to be at 3 with the spring football game at 7, and the weather, and I think rightfully so. The weather, forced us to push the game time start time back to 6. But I got to campus at noon, and there were already people set up. I don't know what time they got there, but the tailgate out there in the parking lot got pretty intense is the word I think I would use out there. People getting fired up. And it was a good opportunity to talk to a number of people in the parking lot about baseball. And there were a lot of people disappointed that they couldn't come to baseball at 3, which, it is what it is. But still, the crowd at the Hayes on Saturday night, even though it was an hour before the spring game, I was really pleased with the number of people we had in the stands all weekend long, to be honest with you. Not bad at all. So we end up playing Saturday night against UAB, game 2, win that game 11-6. Woody, I would say the key pitching wise to that night was Clark Dearman coming out of the bullpen for the bulk of the innings. He went 3.3 1/3 with no runs, 6 Ks, and actually picked up the W in that. Clark's a guy that kind of like Will came in with a lot of experience, and it's always good to have somebody with that much experience to go to in a situation where you need him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Clark had 2 really good appearances on the week for us, and there's always, in my experience, there's always a group of guys. There's multiple phases to a season. It's kind of the first 5, the middle 5, and the last 5 of the regular season before you get to the postseason. And you're always going to have guys that kind of get you out of the gate, and then there's guys that are there wire to wire. But there's always a group of guys that have continue to work and continue to we throw live at bats every Wednesdays that we don't have a game for our pitchers and our hitters and guys to make plays on defense just to stay sharp and stay ready, and for us to to continue to get good looks at them as far as where they are for the upcoming weekend series. And Clark's really, the last few weeks of those live at bats has really stood out, and so for us as a coaching staff, we felt very confident going to him there against East Carolina, and then coming out of the bullpen on Saturday, for a huge outing for us, to give our offense time to do what they do. And, just really, I think he and some other guys, they might be a little bit fresher, at this point than, maybe they really want to be, but they are, and it's going to really help us. And it's going to, some of the guys that have carried kind of the heavier load on the mound up until this point, it's guys like Clark and Brevin Yarborough and Nick Cosentino and some of these other guys that are coming in here who, you're going to start seeing more and more of, that it's going to help this other group of guys finish the season strong, and that's the exciting thing about having depth on the mound, and Clark did a great job for us.
Now, Will, were you familiar with Clark from Big South days?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't remember him from the Big South, but I 100% remember him the midweek we played them when I was there, Charlotte.
Mhm.
I remember I was at the end of the dugout, and I don't remember the score. I guess we were winning, and it was the back end of the game, and the lefty comes in, and we're like, these guys are taking terrible swings and talking about our guys. And I'm like, this is like, it looks gross. And then every guy that comes back in, I remember I talked to Josh McDowell. He's like, that was unreal. And obviously I know Woody remembers that. But yeah, I don't remember him from Presbyterian. I know he was obviously good, but that night at Charlotte was impressive, and obviously, kind of helped him with his future.
Yeah, that's just the world we live in college athletics. I mean, I know it's changed the way the portal has changed the way you guys recruit, coach, and every coach in the country. But it's changed the way fans watch in the stands too. If you see a guy carving you up, or a guy taking it to your favorite team, whoever your favorite team is, you might see him on your home field the next year.
Yeah, free agency.
Well, I mean, that's college sports across the board.
Yeah.
You used to have, and all three of us grew up in North Carolina, so that means we grew up with a steady diet of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You had 4 years to hate a guy. You had, by the time they were done, you just loathe this guy. Well, now, heck, you really don't get a chance to truly hate a guy because you might recruit him.
Yeah. Which is funny on the flip side of that too. Coach Bick told me something funny. I think it was yesterday after the game. He said like every weekend series, he's got coaches being like, "This is Knight and Dragons last year, right? Like this is it for them, right?" And it's just funny. Because it's we've got it's an awesome team. It's an awesome blend of the newcomers, and with those guys, and it's a lot of fun.
The obvious aside, do you then point out that Cam's listed as a sophomore?
Oh, I get that question before every series.
Just to see the look on their face.
I get that before every series. They're like, so tell me about Cam's a sophomore. I'm like, yeah, here, and I kind of tell the story, and they kind of scratch their head, and they're kind of like,
and Colin, I think.
Yeah. There's we've got some asterisks, but that's such as so does every roster around the country.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Obviously, score 11 runs on the offensive end. We had Jack and Austin had 4 RBIs apiece on Saturday night. Fish dropped in 2, and Blake another one for 11. I think the way you put it, Coach, was give the offense time to do what they do, and they did. Cam and Jack both hit home runs, and Austin just decided one home run was passé, so he decided to hit 2. Really could have had, I think he sent another ball to the warning track. He could have had more than 2. But yeah, Austin's been hitting the ball hard lately. It's starting to show up in the box score, but good to see that kind of offensive output for 11 runs on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, our offense is, we say it all the time in the dugout, we can score in a hurry. So, at 40 games into the season, when we, if we score we want to score every inning, but we know that, if we're looking there and we're in the middle game, and, we're not where we want to be run wise, like we can get there in a hurry with this group of guys. So, and that just, Saturday was a good example of that, and showed it, I think.
Now, Will, we're going to talk about Sunday here. I am curious to get your perspective. I've got 2 former pitchers here to talk about Sunday with, and I can't wait to hear your various perspectives. But this is 2 years in a row that we've taken a no-hitter. I think before last year, the furthest I had seen a no-hitter go at the Hayes was I think the furthest I recall seeing one go in person was about the 7th inning before they were broken up. 2 years in a row, we've gone into the 9th. It was Matt last year, and then Cam this year. Man, that there really aren't even words to describe what Cam did on Sunday. It was absolutely masterful, I guess is the word I would use, masterful. 8 and a third innings pitch, 1 hit, no earned runs, 10 Ks, picking up the W. Man, he was just confounding people, was he not?
Yeah, I think he's a guy, you know, that I got to see last year. He's gonna throw strikes, and he loves to throw. Coach Porter knows this. I mean, he never stops throwing. So when he gets in that zone and in that rhythm, you know, and he's got his stuff working. I think obviously his stuff's gotten even better from last year to this year. You know, he's gonna be hard because he's not gonna get worse in the last couple innings of a game. And then the 1 hit was like a little bleeder. But it's cool to see him. I mean, you look at a lot of his starts and they're deep, and that kind of just goes back to his stamina that he builds up. That's something you work on. You don't just run out there and have your stuff in the 8th and 9th inning. You know, that's something he works on every single day, maybe even more than he probably should. But he's a dog. He's a horse. So he's gonna keep doing that, and he's gonna be a guy that's gonna be able to do that later in the year as well.
Your thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was one of the best pitching performances, that I've seen across, 13 years or so of Division I baseball, and certainly since I've been here at Charlotte. And again, it's just like Will said, like Cam works extremely hard, and you can kind of tell when he gets in that rhythm. Don't say a whole lot to him, just leave him alone. And the changeup is really good when that thing is on. The movement is wicked, and the differential off his fastball is really challenging for both, for lefties and righties. So you got to give Caden Hobson a lot of credit too for catching and calling the game. And he's just for both, really for the pitching the entire weekend, but just in general for the last 6 or 7 weeks, especially. Caden's a huge part of what we're doing on the mound, and can sometimes the catchers can get a little bit those guys can get a little bit overlooked. Not only Caden, but Drew Tyndall and Huck Wappen. Those guys are in the they're catching every pitcher that's throwing in the bullpen, and coming down when Caden's getting ready to, he comes back in from hitting and are getting guys ready, and then guys are throwing after the game. Yesterday, after the series is over, our catchers, Caden, Drew, and Huck, those 3 guys, they're awesome, and they're a huge part of what not only Cam but all of our pitchers are doing right now.
Now, I did have to eat my words because I had proclaimed already on Friday night Wyatt the Conference USA Pitcher of the Week. And I had to eat those words because Cam said, "Hold my beer." I don't know if he's allowed to say that, but he did. And just, I mean, to take absolutely nothing away from Wyatt's performance on Friday. But Cam's performance earned him Conference USA Pitcher of the Week. We mentioned Wyatt's conference only ERA at 2.03. Check out Cam's, $1.89. $1.89. And I mean, that's in 33 and a third innings for the record of 3-1. So that's not what we would call a small sample size. Unbelievable pitching. Now I just had a question come in, Woody, and this one's directed at you. This is a timely question. We have the best audience anywhere, I'm telling you. So obviously going into the 9th, you've got to be prepared for a number of scenarios because the score's 2-0, right? So it's still, you've still got a game in progress here. It's not like we're, pulling away. You still got a situation you got to manage. You've got Evan up in the pen. Evan's ready to go. Pretty much as soon as the no-hitter was broken up, kind of looked like you're like, okay, yeah, now I'm gonna go get him. Which I think we all knew. Everybody there knew that he was going back out for the ninth. I mean, that's not even a question. But once the hit occurred, which, man, I was so upset. That was such a lame hit, man. If you're going to break up a no-hitter, hey, give the kid from Winthrop last year credit. I mean, he broke up a no-hitter. He broke up Matt's no-hitter, but he hit the crap out of that ball, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Sunday was this little Texas leaguer that's just like, give me a break. Anyway, enough of that. You went and pulled him. So talk about your thought process.
Yeah, he's getting close to 100 pitches. I think he was like right at it or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then not that 100 is like a magical number where pitchers all of a sudden, lose their stuff or anything like that, but it's a lot of pitches. And they'd seen him 3 or 4 times, and so that's always a factor. And then Evan, he didn't, because Clark and Danye and those guys were so good out of the bullpen the day before. Evan hadn't pitched since Friday, so he was fresh. He's also really good. Evan's really good against left-handed hitters. So there's just a lot of factors. And then probably the tipping point factor was just, the however many no-hit bids I've been able to see over the course of my coaching career. I've always felt that the second hitter after the hit's given up is really, really challenging. Like after it's almost like, a ton of helium or air goes out of the balloon as soon as that hit occurs. And so, with it being a 2-0 game, now you got to run on first. You start to think, okay, if this next hitter is going to be that much of a challenge to get out because the air's out of the balloon, if he hits a double or more, we're sitting there at a 2-1 or a 2-2 ball game. So, really liked kind of getting the fresh arm in there. Cam had done more than really what was expected or asked of him. So it was just time. And, I said to Cam, I did say to Cam when I took the ball out of his hand, I said, you enjoy this moment. You deserve it, because I knew the crowd was going to give him a great applause, and they did. And that was special.
Now, we'll see if you picked up on the same thing I did last night, yesterday afternoon. In between innings, especially going into that ninth, it almost felt like I was like at a golf tournament or something. It was so quiet. I mean, everybody knew what was going on, at that point. And I mean, I stayed. Now, the great thing I did yesterday was when all this really started, I happened to be standing in the shade. So I was able to stand in the same spot for the whole game, and I was in the shade. That worked out. Remember, because here on Diamond Niners Weekly, we're not superstitious, but we are little stitious.
Uh-huh.
I was not going to move out of that spot. But everybody in the crowd was in on it. I mean, there was just like a hush over the crowd as we were waiting for that ninth inning. It was almost surreal. I mean, did you sense that?
Yeah, so I was actually watching. I was watching from home, and it's funny because I was kind of in and out of the game until, I don't know, probably the 6th, and it was I guess it would have been the middle of the 6th. They put up the scoreboard on the screen in between innings, and the announcers weren't talking, and I was like, all right, I don't know why the scoreboard's still up. Like they never put it up for this long, so I just like looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't even know that he was throwing a no-hitter at the time. And I was like, Dad, look, Cam's having a really good game. So it's cool. I think it's cool even, with the opposing fans. They respect, what's going on. While they want to obviously break it up, it's like this is not something you see every weekend or most guys don't even do what Cam did, even a one-hitter, in a whole college career. So to see that and to be be able to be there is pretty special.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was now, and Woody, I'm sure you had some interesting observations from in the dugout as this progresses. But Cam's folks were there yesterday, which was really awesome. And I talked to his dad early in the game, and in fact, there were several people. There was kind of a group of parents kind of talking to Cam's dad. He was standing up there on the concourse, but by about the fifth inning, no one was near him. Everybody had just melted away, and he was standing there by himself, and no one was going over there to talk to him. It was, what is it in Moneyball? How can you not be romantic about baseball? Watching that happen, everybody knew to stay away from him. From the fifth inning on, he was just standing there by himself. Nobody was talking to him. Nobody was doing anything. I have to believe the same thing was probably happening in the dugout, Woody.
Yeah, guys were certainly kind of letting him stay in the zone, and he's very routine oriented anyways, so he was just really kind of doing his thing, and it's just awesome performance, and something that when the final score is 2-0, it was much needed. That was a huge win for our team.
I think it's also cool to see 3 games, like Coach Woodard kind of mentioned this earlier. We could have lost 2 of those games pretty easily. Easily meaning like you give up a couple bleeders and one big one. And it seems like kind of earlier in the year, even Friday at UAB, I think it was 1-0. And obviously Wyatt had a great start then too. But to see the 2 8+ innings starts, this past weekend on the 2 days that we didn't score 100 runs, and then the one game where we used, multiple pitchers, we score 11. It's pretty cool, especially at this time of the year, to see that start to come together.
Well, and sort of the conversation we had towards the beginning of the show, Will, if I had shown you the schedule, at the beginning of the season and said you're going to have 2 starters each go 8+ on the same week, which week would you want it? You'd have probably thought about it a little bit, looked up and down the schedule, and you said, well, we've got 2 midweeks and a weekend series here. That'd probably be a pretty good week for that to happen. And there it is. you got 16+ innings from 2 guys in a week where you played 5 games. You can't draw it up any better than that, honestly. I'll just, Woody, you'll have the stats to back it up, but I'll just go ahead and say it right out here in the open. The performance that this pitching staff has put on over the last, particularly the last, I don't know where I want to draw the line, month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever you want to put on it. Man, as a group, they're really rolling right now.
Yeah, and it's I think it's important to say, it's all connected. It's the pitchers doing their part, but then you got Caden, and then you got guys making great plays. We've seen great plays by Spencer Nolan and Austin Knight making that play on the line. You got Jack Dragum throwing across his body from the 6 hole. You've got Dante DeFranco making over the shoulder catches in left field. You've got Cam Fisher running into walls. So, and that's just to name some, right? Like you got Jake Cunningham midweek making 2 great catches. So it's all connected. It's just really like y'all said. It's great to see it all kind of come together, and we still have things. The exciting thing is that we still have things that we can improve upon. So there's still room for improvement, and those are the things we're gonna try. We're gonna try to keep doing the things well that we've been doing, and try to patch the holes of the things that we can get better at.
Yeah, and your RBIs on Sunday come from Austin Knight, drives in 1, and then Cam doing what Cam does, hit his 19th of the year. At this point, you're starting to feel sorry for the pitchers. He murdered that ball. And what's so crazy about it? I mean, he absolutely murdered that ball, and that's not even like the hardest hit ball he's had this season, not anywhere close. And that ball still, I mean, it was up into the trees. That's a lot of fun to watch, I'll just say. So, putting it all together. So, here's where we're at. 22-17 overall. Tremendous. I think the SOS is still around 30 overall right now. 12-5 in the league, which is good for third place. And we are, we're I don't want to alarm anybody, but we're kind of creeping back into this whole conference race. We're only 2 games out of second at this point, behind UTSA. So we are solidly in third right now with the opportunity to be upwardly mobile. That's what you want to be talking about this time of year. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you want to be in kind of like striking position, and starts tomorrow night. Really. I mean, I know, Western Kentucky, they're coming off of a great weekend, but so is Winthrop. They're coming off a great weekend against UNC Asheville, and so it's dog eat dog time of year. I mean, it's everybody's got things to play for, and so we're just going to try to keep this thing rolling right into tomorrow night.
And I'll say, just to add something, it's not a surprise that everything coming together late in the year. That's a process. That's a way of going about training in the fall and in the winter. It's hard for, like we've talked about before, casual fans to understand and not get frustrated early in the year. But I kept saying, like, just give it some time. I promise. Like, this pitching staff's really, really good. And then obviously the hitters the same thing. But that's not by surprise. Like, that's going to happen every year. And that's to credit really everyone in the whole program.
Yeah. So
Thanks,
I mean, I think it's easy for all of us that aren't there every day. I mean, that's me included, with as much as I'd like to be there, we have jobs and other responsibilities. Right. But the work that the guys and the staff are putting in to make all this happen is unbelievable. And then don't forget, these guys are getting their educations as well. So the class time and everything else. I mean, Will, you mentioned before, having to head to class and being able to use the indoor facility to get some work in before you go, or after you get back. So it's really cool to see this happen, and it's a lot of fun to watch. I'll tell you that, as it comes together. Speaking of watching, you get your next opportunity to see these guys play tomorrow, Tuesday, down at Winthrop. Winthrop's already come up here, and we won that game 4-3 on April 11th back at the Hayes. Winthrop actually had a big weekend. They swept UNC Asheville. They are 20-21. Their RPI is 113, so it's not a bad schedule builder game. That game is at 4 p.m. A little bit of an early start. It's an easy trip down there to Rock Hill if you're able to make it. And if you're not, it's on ESPN Plus. So check that game out. Coach, it's the return matchup to Winthrop. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, they've got exams starting on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. So it's an earlier start, so their guys can hit the books after the game. Like you said, it's a short ride, and they got a really nice ballpark, and it's Coach Reginos has been there a long time, and he was an assistant coach at Clemson when I was a player, and so he was there just as an assistant too when Coach Bick was there as the third assistant at Clemson. They coached together for a short stint, and they have a really good team. The last time we played was, they gave us everything we could handle, and we were fortunate to come out on the good side. So I know our guys are excited to get on the bus and head down there and play a good ball game tomorrow night.
Now, Will, I feel like this is a ballpark you've got to have some experience in.
Yeah, I've had quite a few games over there. Obviously, the most recent one, I think a lot of the guys that are on the team this year are gonna, really be ready to go tomorrow because of the most recent one. It is a very nice ballpark. For some reason, it's always super hot. Every time I play there, it's been like extremely hot and muggy. But yeah, went through it. I mean, you look at obviously early in the year, 4-3. We lost to them last year once.
At
You
their
know,
place.
at their place, yeah, and they have a good baseball history. So that's another program that wants to get back to. I mean, you look at the stands, you look at the stadium, and it's like, okay, well, this came from something, the money to build this. So, like Coach Woodard said, their coaching staff is obviously they see that and they see the vision, and you're gonna have to be ready when you go to play them.
Have either one of you ever seen a larger batter's eye?
No, there isn't one. There's definitely not one.
Negative.
Seen anything like that, Woody?
I don't know. Maybe Yankee Stadium.
I mean, it's a massive batter's eye, and it's all about the position of the sun out there in the late afternoon. But yeah, it's a rather large batter's eye. But yeah, I would encourage anybody that's thinking about that's able to check it out tomorrow. It's an easy drive down at Rock Hill, and they've got plenty of parking. It's not a bad setup at all. So we'll get through that, and then Coach, I'm guessing you guys are going to head out on Thursday to head up to Western Kentucky.
We are.
Maybe flying into Nashville and then bussing up to Bowling Green.
We are.
Maybe?
We are. Yeah, bus will leave from campus at 11, and then we fly at 1:30 from Charlotte to Nashville, and then we'll head over to Bowling Green, and we'll get a. We've been practicing in the mornings, some before we leave campus, but with the flight times, it just we're gonna practice there at Western Kentucky. Plus, we play 2 night games this coming weekend there, both at 6:00. So it'll give us an opportunity to practice at the time there and get a feel for their lights, that sort of thing. Thursday night before we play 2 night games, and a Sunday afternoon game at 1. But I would anticipate some time changes just with some percentages of rain over in the forecast this weekend. Good news is they have turf field and that sort of thing. So it looks like we'll have windows, but I would imagine probably be some time changes this weekend once we get there.
Now that is, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that 2 years ago, Woody, that you guys got in that Sunday game against Western Kentucky with like 50-mile-an-hour winds, and the score ended up being something ridiculous. It was
17-16.
Yeah, let's say 17-16, and it was like 50 miles an hour blowing straight out.
Straight out. Yep, it was. It was. I want to say we were down. We were down a good bit of runs, and then we took the lead like 7-6, and then we opened it up to, I want to say like 14-8, and then we did that but Nate Furman hit like a base clearing double. This was the first weekend, keep in mind, of Nate Furman's freshman year. This was his first weekend as a starter. So we just threw him in there the first game of the series and said, go get it. And he tore it up the whole weekend, and this is the 4th game. He rounds first after a base clearing double, which was like his 4th or 5th on the weekend because we played 4 games. And he tweaked his hamstring, pulled his hamstring, and I had to go out there to second base with our trainer, and he's like down on one knee, like, typical Firm, like he's like punching the turf and like, just mad and frustrated, and he's just like, give me some, coach, just give me Tiger Balm. Just I'll rub some Tiger Balm on, I'm good. I'm like, hey man, like I saw that tire blowout. Like your Tiger Balm's not gonna get you going again. So he came out, and as soon as he came out, like it went from 14-8 to 14-14, and then it just went boom, boom, boom. I think we went to extra innings, 16 all, and because it was getaway day, we had the international extra inning rule where runners go to second base, and we didn't score in the top, and they scored in the bottom, and we won the series 3-1, but that was a bad taste in the mouth on the bus ride home because we felt like we should have won all 4 that weekend. But So yeah. And I think that was the Sims the Sims brother matchup weekend as
was,
well.
I've heard about
Yeah.
that a couple times.
That was pretty awesome. So Will, you didn't. Yeah, that means you didn't get to travel to Bowling Green.
No, we just played Uptown last year. Last year, I think Friday was Uptown, and then the second two were at our place.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot to mention, but tomorrow, you guys, game notes are out, and go check those out. But Colin Kramer has been announced as probable starter for tomorrow. So good day for a Kramer start tomorrow afternoon at 4:00 at Winthrop. Those game times for Western Kentucky are 7 o'clock, 2 o'clock. But as Woody said, that's stay tuned. We put in some research here. You are going to be able to listen to the game on Conference USA TV free of charge. You can listen to Joe Templin call that series this weekend. They don't necessarily have any TV listed right now on their site. I don't know if that means they haven't updated their site, or we're not going to be able to see the games this weekend, or I don't know what it means. So keep checking back on that and see if we're going to be able to watch the series this weekend. But the Hilltoppers swept FAU last weekend, and they're kind of in a scenario. They're 7-11 in the league. They've got a lot to play for. There's two teams at the bottom this year that aren't going to the conference tournament, and they're trying to make sure they're not going to be one of them. You can't win the conference tournament if you don't get into it. So we're talking about two teams this weekend that have a lot to play for. Should be an intense weekend, I would expect, Coach.
Yeah, it's Coach Reardon and his staff. They're in their first year, and he built a pretty formidable or pretty strong junior college program for a number of years, and they already in their first summer they brought in a bunch of guys, and they returned some really good guys as well, and yeah, it's they've got a good team. So once we got to get through a good Winthrop team tomorrow, and then it should be a competitive weekend.
I'm doing math in my head here, Will, and you should know that means we're in trouble. But I think I would have Western Kentucky as the 6th seed right now if the tournament started today. That could be completely wrong. But you've got Rice, Western Kentucky, and FAU all at 7-11 for the 6, 7, 8 seeds. So yeah, gonna be an intense weekend. And heck, it's not gonna get any easier, because after that we're gonna bring FAU in here and jump on them for a weekend after that. So, man, it's a good time of year, folks. If and we talked about this on the softball show earlier, if it's this time of year and you're looking at the standings, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
This is the time of year that you want to be looking at the standings, right? And thinking about possible scenarios. All right, Coach, it's about time to wrap this episode up. You got any final thoughts you want to deliver before we head out of here?
No, I just like you said, I thought the weekend crowd was really strong, and we've got a few games out on the road here, but once we get back from this 5-game stretch, we just really want to continue to see Niner Nation show out like they did this past weekend, and with winds and weather, just keep packing the haze.
Will Lancaster, you've made it through. Like you were talking about a few weeks ago, you're talking about I've never been on. Now you've been on twice.
I know. I guess I complain enough. I did tell you. I told you I got you some wine, and I'm starting to think that's why I got the second appearance.
Oh, it's all good, Will. Man, we appreciate you being able to step in, because
podcast host. Put it on the resume. Podcast host.
I actually might do that. That's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea, and you're helping us out a lot. You're actually helping the audience out, because with Woody coming in at 7 and us getting started at 6:30. This audience does not need me trying to fill
Just
dead air
rambling.
for 30. Yes, we do. Nobody needs that. Okay.
Well, the other good
That's-
thing is I have like 57 family members that came to every baseball game, so now they have something to watch.
see, we're giving the people what they want.
I'm giving
This
and
is-
I'm taking. Yep.
Yeah, this is what we're all about here. All right, folks, we've been shortening these shows actually in our defense, but I knew tonight with having played 5 games and we were going to go long tonight. It was always going to happen. And anyway, we've been having fun. I hope you have too. So we're going to get out of here, folks. Look for this podcast wherever you find your podcast. If you're enjoying the content, think about subscribing. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the various podcast platforms. You can subscribe there and be notified of new content. Find us all over social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, never, ever TikTok. Not going to happen. We like hearing from you folks. Reach out on social media or just say hello at the ballpark if you're old-fashioned like we are. For producer Brad, for Will Lancaster, for Coach Woody, this has been Nick saying we'll see you at the Hayes.
Go Niners.
Good night.